Hi, this is Holly at the Potomac Bead Company. Today I'm going to show you how to make these adorable little pumpkin pendants using polymer clay. To get us started, what you're going to need is a nice flat work surface. I'm using a piece of copper, or you can use some wax paper if you have that at home. What we're also using today is some Sculpey or Premo clay. This is a polymer clay that you can either bake or air dry. It's great to make beads. It's great to make pendants. Pretty much anything that you want to do, you can do with this clay. The colors that we're using today for our little pumpkins are just a tiny little piece of brown. We're going to use some orange. We're actually going to be mixing our white into our orange to kind of lighten it up a little bit so it's not so dark and bright. And then finally, for our vines and our leaves, we're going to use a little bit of green. What you're also going to need is some scraps of clay. And what we're going to do is once we get our orange conditioned with our white, we're actually just going to wrap around our scraps. Okay? So to get started, we need to start conditioning our clay. We'll go ahead and turn our attention to the white and the orange. And you're just going to, like when you were in school, just start working with your clay. The more you work with it, the easier it is. There's different ways that you can condition this. You can roll it like I'm doing here. We do have pasta machine clay conditioners that you can purchase that are nice for that. But really the heat from your hands is great to mix everything up. There is also a liquid that you can use to condition your clay that is available for purchase. You just keep mixing that up, and you want to go ahead and condition all of your clay. So even the brown and the green, when you're ready for those, then they're good. They'll be ready for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep working at this. The more that you mix it up, the more the white is going to become incorporated, and you're going to see that you don't see it, basically. So we're just going to keep working with that. And what I've done is I've used my clay conditioner and the pasta machine, and I've gone ahead and I've flattened out a piece of my polymer clay. And you can see that there is a little bit of white still in there, but it's nice and mixed through really well. Okay, with our scraps, we're just going to go ahead and create a nice ball shape. And honestly, this is taking you back to school days. And it's so much fun to work with clay. When we're in the store, we'll say that we're going to play with clay that day. And it's a lot of fun to play with clay. Okay, so we got that pretty good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that sheet of white and orange that we've already conditioned, and we're just going to place that over our scrap ball. And you can just, like the pieces that you don't need, just tear off a little bit and then just fold those under. And again, you're going to roll that until everything becomes one ball, and you should not be able to see any of those seams. So we'll just keep working that like this. And eventually you're going to have something that's looking like this. It's looking pretty good, actually. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pull in our clay sculpting tool. This has two ends that you can make lines in it, or you can use the other end to shape or kind of feather things out. We're actually going to be using this end and work that a little bit more. Sometimes you'll get some air bubbles in there. If you just keep pressing it, it should work itself out. Okay? Alright, so we're going to take our tool, and from the top, we're just going to start making lines the whole way to the bottom, like that. And just keep doing that the whole way around. So even if you don't have all of those seams evened up, it's probably not going to be too noticeable after we start putting our pumpkin lines in. I mean, you're more than welcome to keep rolling that. You just want to make sure that you don't see your scraps underneath. And you're more than welcome to use the same color underneath if you want, or just roll a whole orange ball. You could do that too. But this, I don't know, I kind of like the look of the white and orange mixed together. Okay, so we just go around the whole way like that. And then the more that you touch it, sometimes you'll see that it kind of fades away. So if you want to go back in and define those lines a little more, you can do that. We'll do that. Okay, so there is our pumpkin, looking pretty good so far. Okay, we're going to turn our attention to the brown. We're going to go ahead and condition that. I'm just going to roll it a little bit. And we're just looking to get a tiny little piece that's rolled and kind of shaped. We're going to fan out the bottom so we can put that on as our stem, and then kind of crook the stem at the top. Okay. Another little tool of the trade is our little clay sicer. These come corrugated or straight. We're just going to use our straight one here and cut a little piece off. Okay. Now it's just important to work with your fingers, and I kind of shape it into what I want. Kind of make my little, it's almost looking like a little chocolate chip or something. Okay, if you want to use your tool a little bit to kind of fan out that stem so it adheres better, you can do that too. Like that. And then we're just going to go ahead and place our stem right on our pumpkin. Just like that. And now you can come back in with your tool and kind of press him in there if you'd like. Kind of smooth it out. That helps too when you want to try to remove the fingerprints, because sometimes when you air dry or bake these, you can see your fingerprints. You don't want to see that. So I'm going to touch up those lines again. Looking good. And now we're going to go ahead and turn to conditioning our green. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a super long, very, very skinny snake of our green clay. And about the time when you think it's too thin and you can't get it any thinner, you want to keep rolling. So I'm actually going to trim that off and keep rolling it here. And I'm just using my fingers, stretching it out. Just like that. Okay. All right. And then what you're going to do is just place that wherever you'd like it to go, and then I just coil them kind of around on itself. You can go as big or as little as you like, just till you get it how you want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pinch that off there because I think that looks good. Excellent. Now, if you want to do a leaf, what I do is I take another small portion of our green, and I'm going to trim it up just a tiny little bit. And I really, with these, I just kind of free-formed them. And you can do that. I mean, if you have a mold, you can use that as well. But that's totally up to you if you want to do that. I'm going to grab another tool here and then we'll start shaping. This is another tool that we use for clay, for polymer clay. It has a blade on it, so you want to be a little bit careful. But it also has this end that is nice for just kind of distressing your clay. And that's all I'm going to really do, is just kind of distress it. Like I said, this is more of a free-form type leaf. You're more than welcome to use a mold if you'd like. Then with the pointy end, what we're going to do is we're going to start making just the little details on our leaf. You can see I have the little lines in your leaf. So I'm just going to go right down the center, and then we're going to just barely go on the ends just to add a little extra detail. Okay? And feel free to distress it as much as you'd like. And if you want to come back in and do some over there, you can do that too. Alright, now the problem is that sometimes they get stuck to your work surface, so you have to use something sharp to kind of pick those up. And then you're just going to go ahead and press that on to your pumpkin. Okay, just like that. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab a piece of 20 gauge wire and we're going to make a wrapped loop. And then once you get that wrapped loop done, you're just going to slide that right down into your pumpkin and you're going to bake it that way. Now when you're making these, you can bake them in a toaster oven at 275. You can follow the manufacturer's instructions on the pack of clay, or you can let them air dry. It will take a lot longer for them to dry completely if you air dry them. But if you're doing them in a toaster oven, it only takes about a half hour at 275. You do want to make sure that if you are using a toaster oven that you're using it for clay and nothing else. If you want, what you can do also is you can take some black clay and you can roll it out really thin, similar to what we did with the orange to cover our scrap ball. And again, come back in with your cutter and just cut your little triangles and you can make your pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern. But we're going to be uploading some more awesome polymer clay videos here shortly. And looking forward to seeing what you can create with polymer clay. This is Holly at the Potomac Bead Company. Thanks for watching.